Okay. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. And today we will be talking about building capsules for the refrigerator. Roger's face is cutting off that portion of the slide, but you guys can see it there. So yeah, okay, let's just hop straight into the introductions then. Roger, why don't you go ahead?
Hey everyone, my name is Roger Kibbe. I'm a senior technical evangelist for Samsung Bixby. Go around and talk to people about building voice experiences. Please. A couple of personal things. I'm a father of two teen daughters who keep me darn busy. And I went to Cal, so go Bears. Jonathan,
All right, and my
I'm
name
cutting you
is,
off in
yeah,
the video. You got to move me.
yep, okay. We're going to go full screen because now, it's presentation time, I guess. So my name is Jonathan Pan. I'm also a technical evangelist with Bixby, and I have many, many cats. So that's, I guess, an important thing about me. And today, like I said, we're going to be talking about porting your capsule over to the fridge. So this isn't really how to build a capsule from scratch, but really it's more about if you have a capsule that's, mobile ready and stuff, this one will help you be able to port that over to the refrigerator. So, okay.
Hey, Jonathan, before you get started,
Yeah.
as you guys are listening to Jonathan, he's going to present most of it. I'm going to talk a little bit. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat or hold them, your choice. But you put them in the chat, what I'll try to do is capture them. So when we go to the Q&A section, uh, we will have a backlog of questions. So no need to hold your question, just throw it in the chat. If it's super simple, I might answer it in the chat directly. Otherwise, we'll hold it off for the.
Yep. Great. Sounds good. So, yeah, like Roger said, throw any questions you guys have in the chat. And these are pretty much the main steps for porting over to the fridge. And really, the main thing in terms of code that you should be aware of is literally adding just this one line of code to your capsule.bxb file. And there we go, webinar done, because that's pretty much all you need to do. No, but seriously, it's really that simple when it comes to adding a new target for your capsule. It's you just go to your capsule.bxb file and you add this one line of code. And what that does is it allows your capsule to be on the fridge, right? It adds this target. And when you do that, you'll be able to click on this thing in the simulator and then click on the target, then select fridge. And then it will be as if you are running your capsule on the fridge. And in the simulator, it will just have a larger, slightly different, resolution scale simulation of what it would look like on the fridge. For those of you guys who've been developing before Bixby themes was a thing, you will know that this one looks like the original default theme for Bixby, and the fridge still uses that theme even today. Even though mobile right now uses a dark mode and a light mode theme, the fridge has stuck with the default theme for now. So that's why it's going to look a little different from your mobile simulators. And the next thing to note is that for your capsule on the fridge, you may need some slightly different logic, whether it's in a view file or whether it's in an action, for example. You may want to do something different for your capsule. And if that's the case, you can simply use this if command, or sorry, this if clause where you have the $can.device, and this checks what device that Bixby is currently, or that your capsule is currently running on. And you just have it check to see if it's currently the fridge, Bixby-fridge, and then you can have, for example, a different image here versus this. Now, for those that might be a bit more astute, this is actually pretty redundant, but I'll show you guys how you can actually use it after this. Another important thing about the fridge is that you can have custom trainings for just the fridge target. So if it's a feature that you want your capsule to have only on the fridge and it can be accessed through voice, then you'll want to add a training specifically for the fridge and for that purpose. So this is also useful for the opposite effect, in the sense that you don't want this training to be accessible on the fridge. So instead, you actually put it just on the mobile training. So, you would add a training just for your mobile device instead of a training for all Bixby EN targets, which would cover all these devices. So I'll go into an example of a type of training that you would not want on the fridge, that you would only want on Bixby Mobile. And oh yeah, this is how you would do it. After you click on the Bixby Fridge target, then you just click on this drop-down arrow here, and you can select the Bixby-Fridge-EN target, or the EN US if you want to specify which type of English it is. But this here will allow you to put this training just on the fridge instead of on all the devices. And let's talk about some best practices really quick. So here we have that you can see that the layout is very similar. Now I know that this Bixby update after supported Android themes, this has the newer UI, that's the light theme. But you can see how generally speaking the layout is extremely similar, with one of the differences being that your icon and stuff is up at the top, whereas for the original theme, it's right here still. And here, but one thing you'll notice is that the dark theme, I would say from a color perspective, is more similar to the fridge's theme. And this is important when it comes to kind of checking your icons, because by default, your simulator for mobile is on the light theme. So icons that may look good here may not look good over here. And you can see that here, this white icon does look good on the fridge still. But it's important to note that this fridge here does not have the share this GIF button. And this is because this is a share via dispatch where, it would email, a friend or something, or text a friend this GIF. Right, but since the fridge doesn't support the share via functionality, I use the if clause, detect to see if it's the fridge, to remove this button from the fridge. Otherwise, on the mobile device, I would render this button. That way you can actually share this GIF with your friend. But on the fridge, because the share via functionality doesn't work, you're going to want to remove that button. So let's hop into Bixby Studio and we can see all this in action. So here I have my capsule GIF finder, and we can just search up puppies real quick. And this is the mobile UI.
Here are some puppies GIFs.
And you can see that it just shows some puppy GIFs for you falling out of a laundry basket. Very cute. And we can see that this has the share this GIF. And now we can see that this is actually a problem with this icon. I'll go ahead and fix that really quick. So why don't I just remove that and change it real quick. Okay, so didn't expect to have to fix my mobile version of that.
Enjoy these.
Now we can see that this icon is fine in the dark theme, but this is still the mobile target. And we can see that because it's saying Bixby-mobile-en US, and that's how we know what target it is. So let's go over to the capsule.bxb, and we can just copy paste this line and change that mobile to fridge. And now we've just added the fridge as a target for this capsule, and this capsule will be able to access the fridge now. So all I did there was I clicked on this thing, and I clicked on the drop down for target, and I click on fridge and just click confirm.
Here are some puppies GIFs.
And there you go. Now it's just running now it's just running it on the fridge as if it was on the fridge. So if we click on this GIF here, we can see that this icon still looks good, but we can see that the share via button is missing now. And how did we do that? If we look for the dollar.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah, yes, Roger.
Move yourself in the.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Let me move myself. Right. Let's see. Actually, I can just hide myself for now. There we go. So we can see here that I'm using the if.can.device equals Bixby mobile and show the share via button. But alternatively, you could do if this equals fridge, don't show this, and then in an else clause, you would wrap that instead. So else, and then you can just bring that over and wrap that. So right here, I realize that this is empty, but I think you guys should get the point there. But that's how you would detect something for, oh, looks like I broke my capsule, but you guys, I think you guys get the point. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I think I had an extra bracket there or something. But yeah, so you can just simply use the if.$can.device equals Bixby fridge to do something specific for the fridge. Or in this case, I'm excluding it from the fridge, so I put this in just the mobile portion of it. So yeah, I think this is a reasonable example of that. And let's also take a look at the training. If you wanted a training specific for the fridge, all you would have to do is you would just hop in here, the training v2, click on this, and then click on the Bixby fridge. And really, I should actually delete these from the fridge target, or this is for all EN targets. I should delete these and then add them specific to the training or to the mobile training instead. So that way, when a user uses this capsule on the fridge and they say share, I'm not sure why there's two of them here, right? But if they say share, then the fridge isn't going to pick it up and try to share. So this is something that I do actually need to do by removing these and moving them over to the mobile only. So those are some of the main things you want to keep in mind when it comes to building for the fridge, is knowing what features aren't accessible on the fridge. And that list of features is changing because, Bixby's always adding new functionality to it. And you can find, what does and doesn't work at our documentation at bixbydevelopers.com. So, okay. And I guess I can put myself back real quick. We can hop back into presentation mode. So just a few tips I would add when it comes to porting your capsule over to the fridge. Sometimes it is a little bit more than just adding that one line of code in the capsule.bxb. I strongly suggest making your capsule more HEF friendly, which is hands and eyes free. And that's because people, when they're in the kitchen and they're yelling at Bixby, they're not going to be going over and tapping all over the fridge. Let's say they're cooking or something and they can't go over and interact by touch on the fridge panel. So I do think it's important to have your capsule be HEF friendly when it comes to using it on the fridge. And as I mentioned, some library capsules currently do not work for the fridge. Share Via is a big one. And I believe Audio Player is a really big one that doesn't work on the fridge as of today. So do keep that in mind when you're building a capsule for the fridge. Know what is supported and what isn't supported on the fridge. And another tip I have is, because you have more real estate on the fridge, and I think my face is actually blocking off part of the presentation again. So let me hide myself. So because you have more real estate on the fridge, you can actually have more images side by side, especially when you have a list of images. You can have maybe 2 or even 3 images in a row versus, maybe 1 or 2 on mobile. So because the fridge screen is a lot wider in comparison, you could do something like that. And as I kind of went through in the simulator, make sure that the trainings that work on mobile but don't work on fridge are only on the mobile target, and then make sure that trainings that you only want accessible on the fridge are on the fridge target. So that's a big thing. For example, if someone were to use GIF Finder on the fridge and say share, it's going to be like, I can't do that, or whatever error message that Bixby's going to pop up because it can't actually share that GIF. So that's one thing that I would be conscious of when it comes to porting something over to the fridge. And one last thing that's not on this slide that I wanted to also talk about is the review process for the fridge. So when you submit a capsule with multiple targets, like the mobile target and the fridge target and the watch target, they're basically all reviewed as almost separate capsules in a sense because the reviewer will test on each individual target and they'll test to see, if the main functionalities and features work on all the targets that you include. So do keep that in mind when it comes to the review process. They will check to see how well it works on mobile, on fridge, on watch, on each of the corresponding devices. So you'll want to make sure that your capsule behaves as expected on each of the devices. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it from the technical perspective. When it comes to porting your capsule over to the fridge, it's pretty much, it's generally pretty easy. You can usually just add that one line of code to target it and then, test it, make sure it works, and make sure you remove functionality that you don't need on the fridge or add functionality that you need on the fridge with those if clauses and also the specific training targets. So, okay, that concludes my portion. And Roger, I guess why don't you go ahead? Roger, do you want to present, or should I just?
No, just go ahead and present
Okay.
the slides for me.
Okay.
So I just wanted to start some ideas to think about what to build for the fridge. Obviously, a pretty different device than a phone or a watch. And so just to kind of some thinking that we've done and kind of whet your appetite, and maybe we could continue the conversation afterwards. But you can go to the next slide.
Okay. Next slide. Yeah, there's a bit of
All
a
right.
delay.
So yeah, there is a bit of a delay. Yeah. So I think the obvious thing is obviously people are in the kitchen, right? And they want like a cook's assistant, right? And this is kind of the number one use case for the fridge. There is something that would make it easier to do something. It's things like recipe finders to find a recipe. Think about things like a cook's assistant, right? So questions that you might have if you cook. I like to cook myself, and sometimes I have questions about the temperature of something, or there's a substitute. Oh my god, I don't have this spice. What's a substitute for this, et cetera, et cetera. um, or just some inspiration, right? So we may have some ingredients, what would go together well, or what would make an interesting mix. So, I mean, I think there's some obvious things around, finding recipes and that. Um, but I'd encourage you to think about, and especially this may resonate if you actually cook yourself, to think about is there something that you might, when you're cooking, want to get information? Because voice is obviously the very best modality in the kitchen because you are actually cooking and your hands are busy. One thing to consider, obviously, the fridge, if you've seen them, they have that big giant screen, right? So you can see them. Jonathan mentioned this. But you may not be able to see the screen. So you want to have a rich voice only augmented by what you. Okay. Slide, Jonathan.
Okay.
The other thing that I think about the fridge is, you know, kitchen is definitely a family gathering point, right? So, I think me and I think of my family, we spend as much time in the kitchen, or as much time in the kitchen as any other room, maybe the family room, a little bit more. But it's a great place to think about like quick entertainment, right? So, trivia games, things like that, simple one turn games like rock paper scissors, which if you were at the voice lunch, we open sourced a version of repo, or even more complex multi-turn games. A couple up here that are pretty complex that are out in the marketplace. Keep the room, Tempest Rising. But think of it as a place. I mean, I think of the fridge as a place to be practical if you're cooking, but otherwise as a place to think about having some fun. Probably an excellent place to think about. Maybe there's a family game, involves multiple players, or is one of those. There's several popular around that are kind of conversation starters. Often going to in a kitchen around a fridge. Very, very different. And right, if you're interacting with your phone, you're probably interacting one-on-one with your phone. And certainly if you're interacting with your watch, it's on you're in one-to-one. So multiplayer is a good option if you're thinking about that. So that's all I had. Is just these ideas. I just wanted to kind of whet your guys' appetites, and we can certainly talk about ideas or thoughts you had or any technology questions. But let's see, Jonathan. I think that is end of my presentation.
Okay.
So next slide.
Oh, yep. The thank you slide, right?
Yeah. So if you guys want this presentation, it is up. Just like all of our presentations, we put on our GitHub repo. So bit.ly, Bix, and then just the date, 2/19/21. You can go find that and you can grab the presentation there. And then other than that, let us open it up for questions. So while I was talking, I missed some questions, but I can start with some questions. Jonathan, you just want to turn off the presentation and show us on screen, or leave it
Yeah,
up?
sure. Yeah. Now, although I'll leave Bixby Studio in the background because otherwise your face is too big and mine's too small. So I think this is a reasonable balance.
All right. All right. All right. Great, guys. All right. So there are some questions here. They're really good questions. And I'll tell you, we don't have the answers to all of these. Like
Right.
the first one, what is the maximum video resolution supported by the fridge? I actually don't know the maximum video resolution supported by the fridge. I'm going to have to ask the internal team on that.
Yeah.
Certainly videos play pretty well. Jonathan, do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, so what I would say about this is that because the fridge is in a a vertical layout, no matter what, like you can't rotate your fridge like you can a tablet or something. So it's always going to be in the vertical layout. So the video will always have to be played like, you know, in generally speaking in a landscape fashion on a vertical screen. So you can kind of picture roughly how large that video would take on the real estate on the fridge. So I think that's worth keeping in mind when it comes to answering this question. In terms of the actual resolution, we don't know it off the top of our heads, but that's probably something that you can find in a spec sheet online. So yeah.
That's a great point about the video, right? Because it's like a phone screen. It's well, I'm forgetting the term. Up and down. There's the right term.
Yeah.
And things that's not the right term.
Portrait.
But portrait mode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of landscape, and so a lot of videos are landscape, and so it'll play them because I've tried it in the fridge and it shows it, but there's a big black bar at the top and the bottom to make it fit. So something to think about there. Is there an estimated? There's a couple questions of the number of fridges out in the wild. So we cannot reveal that information. Here's what I will tell you. The fridge is the most specialized device that has Bixby on it, right? So there's hundreds of millions of phones. There's many, many, many tens of millions of watches out there, and there's a lesser number of fridges there, right? Because the fridges start, I mean, I think the low end Bixby enabled fridge is about $2,500. So it is definitely more of a niche product, but offers unique opportunities, like I said, around cooking content and etc. All right. Are there any other content capability limitations or capsules on the fridge? Okay, so you mentioned share via, and I saw who asked this, and he's going to be disappointed about this. The audio player is not yet supported in the fridge, although I need to check that because I know they were working on audio player across other surfaces, and that may not. I may have out of date information there. But yeah, so anything, so share via, what else? So the reason share via, there's a couple questions about share via. The reason share via doesn't work, so share via uses Android's share intent, right? So it's like on the phone, right? If you click share via, then what pops up is that Android share intent. So that's that thing that shows you the full screen in every app you could possibly share, from messages to Facebook to Twitter, etc. So the fridge does not run Android. The fridge actually runs Tizen. And so the number of apps that are actually on the fridge is really tiny compared to Android, right? So when you get a fridge, um, there are I'm going to say 30 or 40 apps included with it, and there's maybe another 5 you can install. And those aren't really focused on social media. They're mostly focused on content consumption and also on things that might help you cook, right? So there's a, shopping list. There's a couple recipe finders there. So it doesn't have access to things like Twitter or SMS or messaging there. Let's see. Have a date for the capsules for smart TVs to release in the Bixby store. No. So you mean supporting capsules on the smart TV? No, but hopefully soon. So
Yeah. I think someone asked, is YouTube supported? And the video player component is supported on the fridge. So that one you can just plop in a YouTube URL. So I would, by proxy, say that it should be supported on the fridge. But we can double check that just to make sure. But I would say yes as of now.
right. So some of these things are breaking. Some of the new platform, like the fridge, is the newest platform that's on Bixby. And so apologies that we don't have perfect answers for some
Yeah.
of these, but sometimes this is a moving
It's a moving target.
support more and more every day.
Yeah.
Models for the fridges support Bixby, only Samsung. Okay, so it is definitely only Samsung. And I'll tell you, I don't have the models off the thing, but they're all called Family Hub. And they're all fridges that have the screen built in them. So it's right. Bixby is only supported on Samsung devices. And if you look at Samsung fridges, you'll see ones that are called Smart Hub, and those have it. And they're really easy to identify because there's a big screen that looks like a big giant tablet that's embedded in the actual in the right hand side door. So I don't have the model numbers, but I think that's enough information for you to figure that out.
So
YouTube.
This question here from I believe Junior Trucka. Sorry if I say your name's wrong, but it's how do I separate views for each device in my capsule? And this one's a good question, but off the top of my head, you would add a folder in the resources folder here, and you could do Bixby-mobile, and then put all your mobile views inside that folder. And alternatively, you can add a folder here called Bixby-fridge for all the views in the fridge. So that way, you don't have to have like a giant if clause in a view file, which has if mobile, otherwise fridge, right? But you can have 2 separate folders. Now, the exact, I believe it's here at the resources level, but you should double check. We have a few presentations on this topic at our YouTube channel. You can type up views, and I think I did a webinar, and also Sangmok, who is the head view designer at Bixby, he did a presentation which has this information in it where you can branch off specific views for each individual target and device. That's a good question, and that's where you would do it, is somewhere in the resources folder. Just So yeah.
I just wanted to add things. I'd be kind of curious, given the fridge is really pretty. I get needing maybe having specialized views for the watch because it's really a different thing, right? It's a small round screen, but the fridge really acts like a giant phone, right? I described them as a tablet embedded in the door, and they're really what it is. It's a big tablet embedded. So just be careful that you're not over engineering to have separate views in there. Yet you might be able to tweak things a little bit with ifs and that. But yeah, there's actually a hierarchy in resources, right? So ENUS, right? So the locale, right? You see it there, and the other thing. And if you had ones for the fridge is lower in the hierarchy, right? The device is lower than the locale. So if you put something in the fridge target, it would override. So basically with Bixby, right? There's basically inheritance, right? So you get everything in that base folder, right? And then if forget the fridge for a second, if you've done Bixby development on the phone, you base, and then ENUS, what you do is you can add additional things. But if you add something in ENUS, then it would override what's in base. And likewise for devices. So if you added a device specific view, then that would override, for instance, what in this case, let's just say there was an ENUS
It's
view
in the base,
and you
yeah,
had
right
a
now.
fridge target, right? It would override it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I have a lot. I need to catch up here on the questions. Oh, here's a really good one. Are Bixby returns supported on the fridge? And that's a great question. And I was just playing with that yesterday, and I doesn't see they aren't, which is disappointing to me because I wanted to do something cool with Bixby routines on the fridge as a little demo there. So no, they are not, unfortunately. Other than US is Bixby for fridge available for different regions. So just like the Bixby itself, so is available in US and Korea. So it's available in US and Korea for the fridge, but other marketplaces not yet. Are fridge sensors available at Bixby capsules? No, but that's a really cool idea. I love the thinking around there.
Mm.
And I'm curious what kind of capsule you're building. That might be a conversation to have separately. But yeah, because there's a bunch of sensors in that fridge that could build. You could do some cool stuff with. Is it common to have capsules without categories inside the Bixby store? A
So
path that is not similar
I
to the established categories.
I can answer
Yeah.
this one. Yeah, the answer to that is no. One of the required criteria for third-party capsules in the marketplace is you have to be in a category in the Bixby marketplace. So I would just pick the category that's most similar to whatever your capsule is doing in that case.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. I mean, if I mean, any kind of categorization is sometimes arbitrary,
Mhm.
right? So if you're thinking I'm building X and it doesn't fit into Y, right? Square peg in a round hole, a round peg, square hole. Reach out, and maybe we can help you with that. And or maybe you're going to be the impetus to add a new category because you really don't have something appropriate there. So engagement. Now I can tell you about engagement numbers just like I can't tell you about the number of fridges out there. I will tell you, I did give you a hint though, that what people want to do with the fridge is they want information about cooking and they want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So if I was going to build something for the fridge, I would think about those two as the first places that I would build. They far and away are the greatest number of queries on the fridge.
So the question on could you create a vertical video that fills the fridge frame? I'm actually not sure of the behavior when it comes to full screening a video that's playing on the fridge, whether it's fit or fill or whatever that might be. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't answer this question off the top of my head, but I think it's worth trying, I guess, to see if it does fill the entire fridge. I mean,
That's a good question because I have a fridge and I played videos on it
yeah,
and I mirrored it, but they're always in landscape, right? So I
yeah.
always get the black bars at the top and the bottom. And I haven't tried as a video that's in portrait and do that. I know if you mirror the phone, so one cool thing you can do, not so much Bixby related, is if you have a Samsung phone, you'll actually mirror the whole screen display onto the fridge, and that does fill the whole screen. So you play the video there. But if I'll have to try that a video
vertical,
and
yeah.
see if it fills the screen. Other than US is Bixby. Can we send WhatsApp messages using Bixby? Well, I mean, there's not a built-in WhatsApp capsule. I'm not familiar. Doesn't WhatsApp have an API? So I don't see why you couldn't. So you could, if you can write a Bixby capsule that calls the WhatsApp API. I'm not familiar with WhatsApp's API, but I'm pretty sure there is one. So no reason why you can't do it. I mean, anything that has an API, you can build for Bixby or enable.
And to kind of add on to that, if you're on mobile, you can probably use the share via functionality for that because it's likely to pop up in the Android share stuff. But I'm not 100% sure about that. You would have to run that with on-device testing to really try that out well. So, yeah.
Okay, here's a good question. Any place where you can see the capsules that already exist for Bixby in the fridge. So when you, I don't know how to show all of them, but I do know that if you're in, so if you get your phone, right, and you search for something and you search for a term, you will see at the top, it lets you filter and there's an all, phone, watch, TV, which is redundant, shouldn't be there, and family hub. So family hub is the fridge. So you could see in your results what is supported there. And then also when you look at actually in the search in the marketplace, there is a particular icon for the fridge. It looks like a mini little fridge with a little tiny screen on it. So like I was just looking here as you're asking a question. So if you search for like podcasts and you search and look at TuneIn Radio, TuneIn Radio is enabled for the fridge. You'll see that it has a little fridge icon there. So is NPR. But there's actually a dearth of things enabled for the fridge, which there should be more because it's so easy to add that support.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I already talked about news things other than US and Korea. No new news. We'll tell you as soon as that is. To go listen to a message, what's up? Create a capsule for this. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the state of WhatsApp is and what's their API. So I can't speak to that question.
Yeah.
Did Bixby capsules hard in the fridge get a launch shortcut on this day? Oh, that's a great question. No, so they need to be launched by voice. Yeah, so there's two kind of apps you can. This is an excellent question. There are two kinds of apps that are supported in the fridge. One is Bixby applications, and you actually can go in the fridge screen and you can actually see all of the Bixby apps that you've enabled for the fridge there. But the actual apps are, it looks like, say, an Android marketplace, albeit with not a lot in it, right? I said there's 30 or 40. And those are actually the Tizen apps developed for the fridge. Now, there are several companies, particularly some cooking companies that like All Recipes, I believe it is, who have built both the Tizen app and Bixby for the fridge. But if you want an icon to actually show up on the fridge in the fridge marketplace, then it's actually a Tizen app. Otherwise, it shows up if you go to Bixby and you can see your enabled capsules. But no, a Bixby only capsule doesn't show up along with the Tizen apps as there. Although I think that's a good idea. Hint. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just thinking that that'd be some good feedback to allow something like that. Is there in the fridge screen? Yeah, there's a camera built not outward facing in the fridge. There's a camera in the fridge that faces inward. The idea being that kind of wacky, but you can actually go. The fridge comes with an app. I think it's called Family Hub. And you can, if you're like at the store and you're like, oh, I wonder what I want to see in my fridge, and I can actually open it up and see in the fridge. But that is not Bixby. That's not related to Bixby, but it does happen that. But if you're talking about a phone that's outward facing, excuse me, a camera that's outward facing, no, there's no outward facing camera on the current fridges. Does the fridge support stereo audio or is it mono?
I think it's stereo, right? It has two speakers.
Yeah,
should be.
Yeah, stereo.
Yeah. So the next one's a good question is about like automation. I know that there's a lot of like smart things stuff that the fridge can do, when it comes to like controlling stuff in your smart things, but those are mostly internally built, to my understanding. I'm not sure, like, you could probably do it though for a capsule on the fridge. I'd assume so.
Well, I don't know what you mean automate. So you can do smart things. Okay. So if you have smart things, you can actually build smart things apps or your own kind of device integrations.
Yeah.
And then there is a smart things capsule. that can talk to those. So in that case, that is. And then there's also built into the fridge, there's a Smart Things app that shows you everything that you've set up in Smart Things there. So it's enabled in Bixby in that way.
Right.
Maybe you can clarify about what type of automation activities you meant. Maybe we're misunderstanding.
So are quick commands supported on the fridge? Hmm. I haven't tried that personally. Have you, Roger? Quick commands?
Yes, no, they're not supported.
Okay.
Actually, I tried that yesterday. I was playing with it yesterday, so they're not
Hmm.
supported. Uh,
So is there a built-in API to read barcodes from the camera? No, I believe there isn't. You'd probably need an outward-facing camera for that, and then maybe hold up like a product with its barcode. But no, there's no ability to read barcodes.
Yeah, the inward-facing camera does some AI and tries to recognize things, but it's not looking at barcodes.
Yeah.
It actually does like an image search, and it tries to tell you what's in your fridge.
Yeah.
And it works kind of. And I'll just be honest and things like that. It's hard to determine what's in a fridge. Um, I don't know. Okay, not available to Bixby. What I don't know is if you build like a Tizen app for the fridge, can you get a hold of that? You probably have to get some special permissions and let the
Yeah.
user do that. I'm not aware of a third-party app that accesses that, so I'm going to guess and say no. For sure, no with Bixby, and I'm going to guess no with Tizen right now. Is there an SDK for Bixby? Yeah, so Bixby development. So if you want to start Bixby development, you just go to, I'll just put it in the chat. You go to bixbydevelopers.com, and then you'll download the Bixby IDE. You saw Jonathan, actually, it's actually sitting there on the screen in front of you. And that's where you do all your Bixby development. So modeling, coding, there's a debugger, there's simulating, everything there. It's all done locally, but it syncs to the cloud. So a little bit different model than what you see if you've done other voice assistants, although things are changing rapidly, so I might be a little wrong here. Um, and I'm probably old school, but when I do Alexa development, right, I go and I use Visual Studio, right, and code and things like that, and then I go to the command line and sync it up to the cloud there. But Bixby, I mean, similar thing is happening. It's just as you're coding, it's actually syncing to you, and you're not actually setting up a cloud account like for it. It's being created for you. You do everything. You log into the studio, and it creates everything there. So everything's built into that IDE, and that's how you do your development.
Yeah, so this one's interesting. Are there any accessible ports such as USB? They're not readily accessible to most users, but there are USBs, but they're mostly for system restores and things like that. They're not really for like uploading your own data and stuff. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I will tell you, the fridge, and Jonathan has the part that he uses, and I actually have
Yeah.
the actual fridge, and the part he exposes things. But I'm not sure there's a big. If there's a USB port on my fridge, I've never seen it.
Oh, you can get
Maybe
to it,
there is.
Roger. You have to pop off a little plastic part at the top of the fridge, and then you
Okay.
can. Yeah, it's something like that.
That's not meant for anything. That's meant
Yeah.
for
Debugging,
like
system restores.
and
Yeah.
debugging. There's nothing documented and nothing open there, and I'm sure it's pretty darn locked down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it
So,
is. Oh, I think we caught up to the questions finally. So great
yeah,
questions, guys.
What other questions?
Yeah.
What other questions? Do you guys have any other questions? Any thoughts? Anyone want to share? I'd be super interested if someone has a really interesting idea for a fridge. I mean, something that I've been thinking about is, like I said, is okay, we have this voice-enabled device that is super different than a phone, super different than a smart speaker, obviously, super different than a watch. It's stationary, it's in a big appliance. So what's a voice experience that you could build that might be unique to that device? I'd be curious. The obvious thing is something around cooking, but there may be other really cool, interesting ideas or thoughts. So I would
Yeah.
connect a barcode reader to the USB port and write a driver. So what
Hey,
would you do with that?
that's
Interesting.
ambitious. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for something like that with Bixby, you'd want to write a Tizen app, and then you could probably do like a deep link through Bixby to punch out to the Tizen app, and then it could actually read the barcode. But I don't know,
Well,
like that's not something I'm saying that you should or can do today, but that would be
yeah,
maybe
the
the
fridge
approach.
tries to, but it's not barcode, so it's not accurate.
Yeah.
You can basically create a shopping list, and then you can, as you check things off, it adds them to the, like you add eggs to your shopping list, and then you check it and say, I'm done. I've shopped for eggs. Then it adds it to what it thinks is in the fridge. And it also tries to see if it sees an egg carton in the fridge. And then what it tries to do is it'll pop up if the eggs have been in there for whatever, I don't know, the couple of weeks or whenever eggs are going bad, it pops up a notice saying, "Hey, you might check and see if this food is still good in
Yeah.
there." Uh, The idea, I would say, I'd just be honest, the idea is super cool, um, and I love the idea, but I have the fridge, and the problem is I don't always like put it on the shopping list what I put in there, and the AI that drives the image recognition isn't perfect. So the execution isn't as good as it could be, but it'd be interesting if you actually scanned a barcode. You could actually keep
Mhm.
really accurate track of that.
Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Finding calories in every dish. I like the idea. That's something I think that would be well suitable for Bixby. You could ask Bixby, "Hey, how many calories is in whatever?" And then I
Yeah,
can tell you. Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
Mhm.
If you're on a diet, it nags you or encourages you, probably better than nagging.
It provides you healthier alternatives, Roger. Provides you
Yes,
healthier
there you go.
alternatives. So, is it possible to detect the fridge opening and closing? So, as of right now, Bixby, when it comes to third-party developers, there's not really any internal fridge functionality that it can access. So that would include opening, closing. That would even include the camera that looks inside the fridge. As of now, third-party developers don't have access to all those things yet. But if there's a compelling enough argument, and we're known to kind of open these things up to
Yeah,
developers.
one of the
Yeah.
reasons we want to ask these questions is we also can talk to our internal developers and say, hey, you know what? Somebody thought of this super cool idea, and if you don't want to share it now, you can DM us on Twitter or reach one of us privately. Maybe if you have a really good idea, you help formulate some of the product decisions moving forward. Can an internal camera read expiration dates? Boy, I don't think so. It's not that good a resolution. Like if you look at it, you can see inside the fridge and it does the best. It's actually complicated, right? Because things are behind things and that. It doesn't it uses, like I said, AI, this image recognition to find things, but it certainly isn't look like it can read an expiration date off that. Oh, somebody's saying things have been sitting there for a while. Suggest a recipe for those items. I love that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Cool
Great
idea,
idea.
right? Like you got some cheese and I don't know, you bought some some cheddar cheese like a week ago, you haven't used it, why don't you go? I love that idea.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. That'd be good. So monetization options, as of right now, we have no new news for monetization. And okay, so I think one last question before Roger, you got to start
Yeah, well,
doing some
we'll answer it.
giveaways.
Is the detective family opening? Yeah, exactly. Things like that. I said
Yeah.
I have two teenage daughters. Maybe I can just. I want a picture when they open the fridge, so I can see who ate the last of who ate the last ice cream. That's the problem in my family, right? And I want a guilty picture of the fridge showing that. Is it possible because he's stopped Dex on a certain TV?
Hmm. Uh, Maybe if the TV has a smart things functionality
I
that can do that. I'm not sure though. No.
I didn't. Okay, so this is maybe my ignorance. So I know you can mirror your smart your phone to the TV, and you can mirror it also to the fridge, but it's not using Dex. It doesn't go into Dex mode. It
Yeah.
just becomes a big phone or a big version of the phone. I'm not aware. and maybe you guys know something I don't know. I'm nowhere of Dex being on anything except on a Mac or a PC, right? And you run the Dex app and you plug the phone in, and all of a sudden your phone UI becomes this more desktop-like UI and big and wide there. I didn't think that was available on the TV uh, or the fridge. Actually, I'm sure Dex isn't available on the fridge, and I'm pretty sure in the TV. But you know what? I made me know something I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So what we want to do, if I'm in wireless Dex mode, can Bixby turn it off? Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
Can you
sure.
turn off
Yeah.
Dex? I haven't tried it. Haven't
I
tried it.
guess you would have to try it with Bixby on the phone first or something.
Yeah, try it. I mean,
Yeah.
Bixby turn Dex. Oh, I get what you're saying. Can Bixby turn the Dex? Bixby's pretty good about settings, so I bet you it can turn off.
Yeah, and there's so many things Bixby can do when it comes to like Samsung phone settings, so that'd be the first thing to try, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So
giveaway time.
Yes, it is. So we're gonna give away. Sorry, I had to reach down here. So one of these, we have two S9s to give away. So I'm gonna give away a phone to two people. So here's how it's gonna work. So I look at how many people have signed up on Eventbrite. And there's 206 people have signed up on Eventbrite. And the way we do this is right now, I'm going to send you, whoever wins, I send you an email. I'm going to ask kind of a question about something about what happened in this. So you need to have watched it, or you're going to have to run to YouTube and watch a lot of it to go find it. So I am going to, and I was trying to do this on Bixby and it wasn't working, so I'm just going to use it on the web. I'm going to go to Google and ask it to generate a random number between, well, it's actually 205 because the first line is just a header. So 2 and 206, and we'll see who won a phone. I thought you'd give a Samsung-enabled refrigerator.
Not
they're hard to
today.
ship. No, yeah, I don't know if I can give away a $3,000 item. But
if we did, you'd have to come pick it up.
Yeah, there we go. That's the excuse. All right, let's see what the first generator is. Number 37. Number 37 is bada boom, bada boom. Mary Dawn. So Mary Dawn.
Congratulations,
answer
Mary.
A really pointed question I'm going to send you via email about this presentation, then you have won a Galaxy S9. All right. All right. Ready for the next one? All right, drum roll. Generate. Number 60. Number 60 is, who is this? Victor Hurd. So Victor, likewise, I'm going to send you a question about this recording, and if you can answer that, then you win a Galaxy S9.
Congratulations, right. Mary and Victor.
Congratulations. Yes, absolutely, guys. Congratulations. So, hey, guys, we do these once a month, these office hours. Usually it is on the second Friday of the month. I realize this is the third.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little out of sync, and we didn't do one in January and things, but we will do one next month. We haven't chosen the topic, but you're the community. If you guys want us to talk about something,
just let us know. Tweet at us. Yeah, you can tweet at Bixby Developers.
Right?
Yeah,
DM us and things, and let us know. You could send me an email, roger@viv.ai. Any ideas there? But yeah. So I guess I'd leave this saying, hey, you saw how easy it was to develop for the fridge. Now, I realize not everything is supported in the fridge, and that may be holding you back. But if your capsule is, you literally can add that one line. And I will tell you, Jonathan's shown those UI tweaks. But what I've seen is almost everything I do, because the fridge is just like a giant phone, works pretty darn well. So it's pretty easy to add to the fridge. And there's another surface to build on and add existing things.
Mm-hmm.
And or you guys were riffing on some interesting ideas around, albeit some of them requiring hardware that isn't supported, isn't what there. Right. But maybe something is really cool and interesting on the fridge. I sound like a broken record, but I'm really compelled by the idea of voice enabling a device that isn't a smart speaker, that isn't a phone, that's used in a different way, and how can we build a voice experience on that device that is really unique and points to a new way of interacting with devices via voice. I think there's something cool to be built there. So, and I'm sure one of you can invent it.
Yeah, yeah. So thanks everyone for joining. I guess we ended right on time. So, Roger, was there anything else you want to say to everyone?
No. I'm looking at the comments. You guys have some witty comments there and things. So, but
Yes.
thanks, guys. So we'll be back next month. I'm putting up an Eventbrite. I'll get it up there. We'll do that. You guys got any ideas or thoughts about that? Really, we want to. These shows are for you guys. So sometimes we're like, well, what should we think of when we think of them? And I'd rather not think of it. I'd rather have you guys say, you know what? I want to hear about X or Y or Z, and then we'll do and if we get enough of them, maybe we'll do more than once a month. So
Hey,
thanks,
that's
guys.
ambitious. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. So we'll see you guys next time.